She wasn't sleeping with my husband. She was rehearsing my life, she copied my clothes. She joined my church. She sat beside my husband in public. But what scared me wasn't her boldness. It was how carefully she studied me. And what she didn't know was this. I was never competing. I was already walking away. Before you judge anyone in this story, listen till the end. Before money found Victor Adiwale, love had already claimed him. Victor was not always the confident man people later admired. There was a time when he owned only 2 good shirts, 1 old pair of shoes, and a dream that refused to die. He was a struggling contractor who moved from one office to another with brown envelopes full of proposals that were rarely opened. Amora met Victor during that season of struggle. He came to her house one evening looking tired and dusty, his shirt soaked with sweat. She offered him water, then food, even though she had little herself. "You didn't even ask if I had eaten," Victor said with a small smile. Amora laughed softly. "If I wait to ask, hunger might answer first." That was how their love started, simple, gentle, and honest. They got married quietly. No loud music. No long guest list. Just family, prayers, and hope. They moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment with cracked tiles and a leaking tap that Victor promised to fix when money comes. Life was not easy, but it was peaceful. Every morning, Victor would kneel beside the bed while Amora prayed. "God, bless the work of my husband's hands," she would say. "Open doors for him that no man can shut." Victor would squeeze her hand and reply, "Amen. One day, I will build you a house with 10 rooms." Amora would smile. "Even 1 room with peace is enough for me." At night, they shared dreams instead of luxury. Victor talked about contracts, big offices, and respect. Amora talked about children, stability, and a calm home. One evening, after another rejection, Victor threw his file on the table in frustration. "I am tired, Amora," he said. "Sometimes I feel like the world is blind." Amora walked to him, held his face, and said gently, "The world is not blind. It's just not ready yet." Those words kept Victor going. Neighbors admired their marriage. People said Amora was too calm, too soft, too patient. But Victor knew something others didn't. Amora was strong in a quiet way. She never insulted him. She never compared him to other men. She never complained when money was tight. Instead, she prayed. And slowly, things began to change. Success did not knock politely. It kicked the door open. Victor landed a government contract that changed everything. Then another. And another. Money entered their home like a stranger who refused to leave. Suddenly, Victor bought a new car. Then a newer one. He stopped wearing his old shirts. He started receiving calls late at night. At first, Amora was happy. "This is the favor of God," she told her friend on the phone. "My husband's time has come." But slowly, she noticed small changes. Victor no longer came home early. When he did, his phone never left his hand. He laughed loudly at messages he refused to explain. One night, Amora asked gently, "Who keeps calling you like that?" Victor didn't look up. "Just work people. You won't understand." Amora nodded. "Okay." But her heart felt uneasy. He started missing morning prayers. "Victor, should we pray?" she asked one morning. "Later," he replied. "I'm late for a meeting." Later never came. He stopped eating her food regularly. "I already ate outside," he would say. One evening, Amora noticed a strange perfume smell on his clothes. "It smells nice," she said carefully. "Is it your office air freshener?" Victor froze for half a second, then laughed. "Yes. They changed it." Amora smiled, but something inside her whispered, "This smell does not belong to your office." Still, she said nothing. She believed marriage needed patience. One night, Victor returned home angry. He dropped his briefcase and loosened his tie. "This house is too quiet," he snapped. Amora looked surprised. "Is quiet not good?" "Everything you do has rules," he said. "Even how toothpaste should be pressed." She laughed lightly. From the bottom, "Victor. It lasts longer." That small correction made him explode. "Must everything be corrected?" he shouted. Can't you just relax? Amora was shocked. This was not the man she married. I'm sorry, she said quickly. I didn't mean. Victor grabbed his keys. I need air. He left the house and didn't return until midnight. That night, Amora lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She whispered a prayer. God, please don't let success remove my husband from me. But success had already started rewriting Victor's character. He began buying Amora gifts, expensive ones. At first, she was excited. Why all this? She asked happily. Victor smiled. Can't I spoil my wife? But the gifts came with distance. The more he bought, the less he stayed. Amora's friend warned her one day, Amora, men change with money. Amora replied softly, not my husband. But deep inside, doubt was growing. One evening, Victor answered a call and stepped outside. Amora heard a woman's laughter through the open door. When he returned, she asked, who was that? Victor sighed. You ask too many questions these days. That sentence broke something in her heart. She said nothing. She just nodded. That night, while Victor slept, Amora cried quietly so he wouldn't hear. She was fighting for her marriage with prayers, while something unseen was slowly pulling her husband away. And she didn't know yet that another woman had already noticed Victor's weakness. Lola Kingsley did not believe in waiting. She believed waiting was for people without sense or strategy. To her, life was simple: find success, attach yourself to it, and hold it tight. Lola was beautiful in a loud way. She liked attention, expensive things, and fast results. She hated stories of suffering with a man and laughed whenever women talked about growing with their husbands. Please, she once told her friends, sipping wine at a lounge. If I suffer with a man, it will be for my village people. That evening, Victor Adiwale walked into the lounge with some business associates. He wore a neat suit, looked confident, and carried himself like a man who had arrived. Lola noticed him immediately. She leaned toward her friend and whispered, that man has money, and stress. Her friend laughed. How do you know? Look at his eyes, Lola replied. Married men with money always look tired. She stood up and walked toward Victor's table with confidence. Good evening, she said sweetly. Are you Victor Adiwale? Victor looked surprised. Yes. She smiled. I knew it. Everyone is talking about you. Victor smiled back, clearly pleased. Really? Of course, Lola said, sitting down without being invited. Successful men don't hide. That was how the conversation started. Victor talked. Lola listened or pretended to listen. He complained about stress. She nodded. He complained about pressure. She sympathized. He mentioned his wife once. She ignored it. So you work too hard, she said gently. No wonder you look exhausted. Victor sighed. My wife doesn't understand this side of me. Lola leaned closer. That's because some women don't know how to treat successful men. That sentence landed softly, but deeply. From that day, Lola made herself available. She called Victor to check up on him. She cooked for him. She praised him. You're doing well, she would say. You deserve peace. Victor didn't tell Amora about Lola. At first, he told himself it was harmless. But Lola was not harmless. She wanted position. And once she decided something, she pursued it without shame. Victor's lies started small. I have a meeting, he told Amora. Okay, Amora replied calmly. Drive safely. The meeting was at Lola's apartment. She opened the door wearing a smile and a short dress. You look tired, she said, touching his arm. Sit. I cooked for you. Victor smiled. You didn't have to. I wanted to, Lola replied. She always wanted to. Soon, the meetings became frequent. Weekends turned into excuses. Excuses turned into habits. Victor stopped feeling guilty. Lola made sure of that. Men like you deserve happiness, she told him one afternoon. Life is short. Victor nodded. You understand me. At home, Amora noticed the distance growing wider. Victor no longer shared stories. He no longer laughed easily. He was always busy. One night, Amora tried to talk. Victor, she said softly, did I do something wrong? Victor looked irritated. Why do you always think something is wrong? I just feel like I'm losing you, she replied. Victor stood up. You're imagining things. But she wasn't. Meanwhile, Lola grew bolder. She began calling Victor her man in private. You're mine, she said playfully. Victor laughed. You know I'm married. Lola smiled. For now. She started posting pictures online, food, gifts, hotel rooms, but never showed Victor's face. Her captions were clear. Some men are worth the risk. People assumed. Lola enjoyed it. She wanted Amora to see it one day. Victor was living two lives. At Lola's place, he was praised. At home, he was corrected. At Lola's place, he felt powerful. At home, he felt responsible. One evening, Victor returned home late. Amora was waiting. You didn't answer my calls, she said. My phone died, he replied quickly. That's strange, she said gently. It rang when I called. Victor snapped. Must you interrogate me? Amora went quiet. That silence followed Victor into the night. He returned to Lola the next day angry. My wife nags too much, he complained. Lola touched his face. You deserve peace, not pressure. Victor sighed in relief. That was when Lola knew she had won something. Not the marriage yet. But the man. And from that moment, she stopped acting like a side chick. She started acting like a replacement. Lola Kingsley was no longer satisfied with being a secret. Being hidden had started to feel like an insult. She was giving Victor attention, comfort, and admiration, things she believed his wife did not give him anymore. In her mind, she was doing the real work of a wife while another woman enjoyed the title. And Lola hated that. One afternoon, while scrolling through her phone, Lola typed Victor's name into social media. From there, she found Amora Adiwale. She studied her carefully. Amora's pictures were simple. No loud makeup. No flashy poses. Just calm smiles, church programs, family photos, and small business posts. Lola laughed softly. So this is her. She clicked through Amora's page like someone preparing for an exam. She likes white lace. She goes to this church. She attends charity events. She dresses modestly. Lola dropped her phone and smiled slowly. I can do all this, but better. From that day, Lola turned Amora into a project. When Victor mentioned his wife's cooking, Lola asked questions. What kind of soup does she make? Agusi, Victor replied casually. Oh, Lola said. I'll make it tomorrow. And she did richer, oilier, with more meat. When Victor praised it, she smiled proudly. Next time, I'll do better. She began copying Amora's style, but louder. If Amora wore lace, Lola added stones. If Amora donated quietly, Lola donated publicly. If Amora stayed behind the scenes, Lola stepped into the spotlight. Soon, Lola started showing up where Amora might be. She joined the same women's charity group. She attended the same social events. She even began attending the same church. One Sunday, Lola sat 3 rows behind Amora, watching her bow her head in prayer. That woman thinks peace is power, Lola whispered to herself. Let me show her confidence. Victor noticed the overlap. Why are you now attending my wife's church? He asked Lola one afternoon. She smiled innocently. Is it a crime to worship God? Victor said nothing. But inside, fear started growing. Meanwhile, Amora remained unaware of the silent competition. She noticed new faces at church. She noticed a woman who dressed boldly. But she paid no attention. Her focus was her home. One evening, Amora told Victor, there's a new woman in church. She sits close to the front. Victor froze for a second. Oh, really? Yes, Amora continued. She seems confident. Victor forced a laugh. Some people are like that. Lola's confidence grew into boldness. One day, she borrowed a blouse from Victor's car. My wife sewed that, Victor said. Lola smiled. Let me see what good taste looks like. The next day, she posted a picture wearing it. Caption, A woman who fits the role wears the crown. Victor felt uneasy. But Lola felt powerful. In her mind, she was already replacing Amora. The event was supposed to be simple. Victor was invited to speak at a public business gathering. Important people would be there. Cameras, microphones, respect. Amora planned to attend. "I'll come later," she told Victor that morning. "I want to finish something first." Victor nodded, relieved. Lola, however, had other plans. She arrived early. Very early. She wore a gold dress that shined under the lights. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup flawless. She walked into the hall like she owned the place. When she saw Victor, she walked straight to him and sat beside him. Victor's eyes widened. "Lola, what are you doing here?" She smiled calmly. "Supporting my man. People will see," Victor whispered. She leaned closer. "Let them." Guests began arriving. Some nodded at Lola respectfully. One man whispered, "Madam, your husband is doing well." Lola smiled proudly. "Thank you." Victor's heart started racing. When the program began, the MC picked up the microphone. "We thank Mr. Victor Adiwale and his lovely wife for honoring us today." The hall clapped. Lola stood up confidently and waved. Victor felt dizzy. Just then, the doors opened. Amora walked in. She wore a simple white lace and gold head tie. No drama. No noise. Just quiet grace. The hall fell silent. Whispers spread. "That's his wife. Then who is that?" "Ah." Amora walked forward slowly and took a seat not beside Victor, but a few seats away. The MC froze. Victor couldn't breathe. Lola's smile shook but didn't fall. She leaned toward Victor and whispered, "You didn't tell me she was coming." Victor whispered back, "I didn't know you would come." The program continued awkwardly. When Victor was called to speak, his voice shook. He avoided looking at either woman. After the event, tension exploded backstage. Lola confronted Victor angrily. "You embarrassed me." Victor snapped. "You embarrassed yourself. If you loved me, you would have introduced me properly," Lola shouted. Victor held his head. "I can't introduce you to my conscience." Amora watched from a distance. She said nothing. But something inside her shifted. That night, Victor returned home silent. Amora looked at him calmly and asked, "Who was the woman sitting beside you?" Victor opened his mouth and closed it again. For the first time, Amora knew. Not everything. But enough. And the silence between them became louder than any argument. After the public event, Lola Kingsley could no longer sleep well. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Amora's face, not angry, not jealous, just calm. That calmness disturbed her more than shouting would have. "She didn't even fight," Lola muttered one night, pacing her living room. "Why is she so calm?" Victor had become distant. He stopped answering Lola's calls quickly. When they met, he was always tense, always checking his phone. "You've changed," Lola said one evening. Victor sighed. "Things are complicated now." "Complicated because of her?" Lola snapped. "I was here first." Victor looked at her sharply. "No, you were not. She is my wife." Those words hit Lola like a slap. That night, anger pushed Lola into desperation. "If love won't secure him," she whispered, "then something else will." A friend told her about a woman on the outskirts of town, Mama Ejiro, a self-proclaimed spiritual woman who claimed she could tie a man's heart. Lola didn't think twice. When she arrived at Mama Ejiro's place, she saw candles, strange symbols, and bottles filled with dark liquids. Mama Ejiro looked at her and smiled slowly. "You want to hold what is already married." Lola swallowed. "I just want him to choose me." Mama Ejiro nodded. "Bring me his hair, and something that belongs to his wife." Lola felt uneasy, but desire was louder than fear. Getting Victor's hair was easy. He left his comb behind one afternoon. For Amora's item, Lola took a handkerchief Victor once mentioned his wife had sewn. When Mama Ejiro tied the items together and murmured strange words, Lola felt powerful. "It is done," the woman said. "He will not rest until he is yours." Lola smiled with relief. But peace didn't come. The very next day, Victor complained of chest pain while at Lola's apartment. "My heart is racing," he said, sweating. "Relax," Lola replied nervously. "It's stress." Before she could say more, Victor collapsed. Lola screamed. Neighbors rushed in. Someone called for help. Victor was rushed to the hospital. Lola followed, shaking. "My husband," she cried loudly. At the hospital, confusion filled the air. When the nurse asked, "Who are you to him?" Lola hesitated. I'm his partner." Meanwhile, at home, Amora received a call. "Madam, your husband has collapsed," a voice said. Her hands trembled. She dropped what she was doing and rushed out. At the hospital, the two women met face to face. Victor lay weak on the bed. Lola stood crying loudly. Amora stood quietly, confused but composed. "Who is this woman?" Amora asked calmly. Before Victor could speak, Lola shouted, "I am the one who loves him." The room went silent. Victor struggled to sit up. "Lola, please." The truth spilled out in front of doctors, nurses, and strangers. Amora said nothing. But something inside her broke cleanly and completely. Someone recorded the hospital argument. By morning, the video was everywhere. Married man collapses inside chick's house. Wife meets mistress at hospital. The city laughed. People shared, commented, mocked. Victor's phone rang non-stop, but not with sympathy. "Is it true? So you nearly died in another woman's house?" Chief lover boy. At work, contracts were quietly withdrawn. Meetings were postponed. Calls went unanswered. Respect disappeared overnight. Lola's life collapsed even faster. Friends stopped calling. Invitations stopped coming. Her landlord suddenly remembered renovation plans. People whispered when she passed. "Is that not the woman?" "Yes, the one from the hospital video." Victor was discharged and returned home. The house felt cold. Amora moved around quietly, doing what she needed to do, but she no longer looked at him the same way. One evening, Victor knelt in front of her. "I'm sorry," he cried. "It meant nothing." Amora looked at him steadily. "It meant enough to break us." Meanwhile, Lola tried calling Victor. He didn't answer. She sent messages. "Please talk to me. I didn't mean for this to happen." No reply. Then her problems multiplied. Mema Ejiro called her. "You must complete the work," the woman demanded. "Bring more money." Lola shouted, "Leave me alone." Within days, Lola fell sick. Her body itched constantly. Her hair began to fall out. She couldn't sleep. Fear replaced pride. She went to a church for help. The pastor listened quietly, then said, "You tried to tie what was not yours. That is why your hands are empty." Those words broke her. While Lola battled shame and sickness, Amora made her decision. One morning, she packed her bags calmly. When Victor saw the boxes, he panicked. "You're leaving?" Amora nodded. "I forgive you. But I need peace." Victor cried. "Please." She replied softly, "Peace is more important than promises." She walked out with her children. Victor was left alone with regret, shame, and silence. And Lola, sitting alone in her apartment that night, finally whispered the truth to herself. "I fought a war against a woman who never even knew there was a battle." Amora did not leave the marriage in anger. She did not shout. She did not curse. She did not fight Lola or insult Victor. That was what confused everyone the most. On the morning she decided to leave, Amora woke up early and prepared breakfast like she always did. She packed the children's bags neatly, folding their clothes with care. Her movements were slow and calm, as if she had already made peace with her decision. Victor watched her from the doorway. "Amora," he said quietly, "why are you packing?" She didn't stop folding. "We are going to stay somewhere else for a while." Victor's heart began to race. "Did I not beg you? I told you I'm sorry." She finally looked up at him. "I heard your apology," she said. "But apology does not heal everything." Victor walked closer. "I will change. I swear." Amora sighed softly. "Victor, I prayed for you for years. I covered you when you were poor. I stayed when you changed. I endured what I didn't understand. But now, my heart is tired. Tears filled Victor's eyes. So you're giving up on us? No, she replied gently. I'm choosing peace. Those words hurt him more than shouting would have. When Amora stepped out of the house with the children, neighbors watched quietly. No drama. No scene. Just a woman walking away with dignity. Victor collapsed on the couch after they left. The house felt empty. The silence felt heavy. 4 days, Victor moved around like a shadow. He went to work, but nothing worked. His phone still rang, but the calls were cold and distant. People no longer respected him. At the office, conversations stopped when he walked in. At church, people avoided sitting close to him. One Sunday, Victor sat alone at the back pew while the pastor preached about repentance and consequences. Some people lose their blessings not because of enemies, the pastor said, but because of poor choices. Victor bowed his head and wept quietly. That day, he stood up and spoke publicly. I betrayed my wife, he said with a shaking voice. I betrayed my home and my peace. The church was silent. Meanwhile, Amora was rebuilding her life slowly. She focused on her children. She focused on her work. She focused on healing. She did not badmouth Victor. She did not explain herself to anyone. When people asked, she simply said, I am fine. And she truly was, because for the first time in a long time, her heart was calm. Lola Kingsley's life looked nothing like the pictures she once posted online. The expensive clothes were gone. The loud friends disappeared. The confidence that once filled her voice had faded. After the scandal, Victor blocked her completely. Calls. Messages. Social media. Every door closed at once. Worse still, she received legal notices. Properties she thought were hers were taken back. The businesses she bragged about were never registered in her name. In a short time, Lola lost almost everything. She moved into a small apartment and started selling food by the roadside to survive. One afternoon, as she fried bean cakes, she heard 2 women whisper nearby. That's her. The one who fought another woman for her husband. Lola pretended not to hear, but the words burned. One day, a car stopped beside her stall. She looked up and froze. It was Amora. Amora stepped out calmly, holding her daughter's hand. Good afternoon, Amora said gently. Lola swallowed hard. Madam. I didn't expect you. I came to buy food, Amora replied simply. As Lola packed the food, her hands trembled. Before leaving, Amora said quietly, peace tastes better than power. Those words broke Lola completely. That night, Lola cried not because she lost Victor, but because she finally understood. She had been fighting the wrong woman. The real enemy was her pride. As for Victor, life humbled him deeply. Without Amora, nothing felt stable. He lost friends. He lost respect. He lost confidence. But slowly, he began to change, not to impress anyone, but because he had learned. Months later, after counseling and sincere repentance, Amora agreed to speak with him again. Not immediately. Not easily. But with time. People later said Victor began carrying Amora's handbag to church. When mocked, he replied calmly, I am carrying my peace. The triangle finally closed. One woman chose dignity. One woman learned humility. One man learned the hard way that peace is more valuable than pleasure. And the lesson spread across the city. Never compete where you were never invited. Never destroy another woman's home to build your own. And never mistake attention for love. If this story touched you, I want to hear from you. Was Amora right to walk away, or should she have stayed? Drop your thoughts in the comments, let's talk. Like this video, share it with someone who needs this lesson. And subscribe for more powerful stories like this.